There we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday, fun day, church day, family day, run day. As always, heading to church early in the morning around 7:30, 7:35. Want to get there for 8 o'clock mass so that I can get my church in, get my run in, and then, of course, get my real estate mastermind, which happens at 11 a.m. in, which is so much fun. Hey, two topics I wanted to go over today. Both a lot of questions around this week. First one, why am I buying a house? Like, the market is bonkers. Why should I purchase a home right now? What does it do for me? And I actually talked to a buyer a couple of days ago who asked me this question. Another real estate agent had given him, and I'm going to go over the financial reasons specifically. Another real estate agent had given them just terrible advice. Didn't know their numbers. I think it's important to know your numbers when it comes to making financial decisions. So I'm going to run through those in a fairly rapid fashion, but there is a very, very high upside financially to making a home purchase. Second one, I've gotten this question 3 or 4 times. Should I become a real estate agent? So there are a lot of folk that are considering becoming real estate agents. I'm going to go over just kind of a bare bones. What does it take to get into the business? And then what should you be looking for once you're in? All right, so first one. I had a buyer contact me this week. Very nice family. Buying, actually, well, they're moving into the second home buyer range because they waited and did not purchase their first home, where average Americans usually do, right? As far as the age range goes, which is totally good. And what they're doing now is they're considering putting off that home purchase for another year because of how hot the market is, because of multiple offer situations. They want to get into a bidding war. They don't want to overpay. All of these wonderful reasons why a lot of buyers may be sitting on the sidelines or giving up. Well, this is the definitive couple of reasons why that is not the best decision for your family. Number one, actually I read a good article, not even about Metro Detroit, but about Denver the other day. It was in, I believe it was the Denver Chronicles, if I remember right. I read a lot because I want to stay as well informed as possible. And even if something doesn't pertain to our direct metro, I'm still going to absorb that information. The average homeowner in Denver Metro gained $42,000 in equity in 2020. $42,000 in equity. I went ahead and took the average sales price here in Michigan at the beginning of 2020 and the end of 2020, and I found our number to be $34,000. So if you bought a home in December of 2019 or January of 2020, anywhere in there, today that home value would be $34,000 more. That's $34,000 in equity, $34,000 in wealth, $34,000 in whatever nomenclature you want to use for your family. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I mean, think about how much you make per year. I don't care how much you make per year. $34,000 would take you a good chunk of the year to earn that. No matter what you're making. I mean, you could be making a lot of money. It's still a lot of time invested to go and try to recoup that somewhere else. Number two, it's highly leveraged. And here's what I mean by that. We have a couple of buyers that had put 5% down back in January or December 2019, 2020. Just 5%, right? So let's use this in stock market terms. So on a $300,000 house, 5%, you would be putting in $15,000, right? Take all the payments and everything out of it. Because frankly, you got to live somewhere, so you're making a payment to something, right? That $15,000 invested, added to the $34,000, is now worth $49,000. All right, so a lot of people are saying, well, I'd rather dump my money into the stock market because the stock market's doing amazing. Great, fair, got it. That makes perfect sense. In this case, you would have almost tripled your money. No kidding, almost tripled your money just in the appreciation from the house in 1 year. And unlike the stock market, you know, back like the roaring 20s and the early 30s and the teens and all of those wonderful markets from 100 years ago do not exist. You cannot leverage stock at a 90-10. And here's what I mean by that. You used to be able to put 10% down and borrow from the bank 9 times that number to put into the stock market, because the way the bank saw it is, it was a no-lose situation back then, right? So if I wanted to buy just throwing a stock out there, let's say General Motors stock. I could put $3,000 in of my own money, and a bank would give me $27,000 additional to go and invest, right? Called buying on margin. In today's world, we can no longer buy on margin at that level. It's just not possible. Now, with homes, we can buy on margin and we can buy at that level, right? We can go 5% down and borrow 95% on a mortgage. And banks are willing to do this, 3.5% down, 10% down, 20% down, whatever that looks like. At the end of the day, the vast majority of what we're getting as a loan from the bank. And as the property values go up, the property value goes up over the entirety of the value, not part of the value, right? Not just the part that you loan. That's number one. Number two, and here's why I want to get into these couple of next parts of it. The home buyer I was talking to, and there have been several buyers that have asked me the question recently, like what does it mean to buy financially, things like that. This buyer was told by another agent, you're going to make a couple $1,000 over the year that you wouldn't if you're renting. Like, that was literally the answer. And I'm like, okay, this real estate agent has no clue of their own business. And that's okay. That's okay. If you're a real estate agent watching, keep watching, because you might learn a thing or two about a thing or two. Highly irritated at my own industry today. We'll go with that. Let's say you do 20% down. So you're putting $60,000 down, you're borrowing $240,000 on a standard 30-year mortgage. In that first year, you're going to be paying off somewhere in the range of $300 per month, depending on interest rate, depending on the loan type. Could be $350 a month, could be $280 a month. But let's just say, $300 a month or $350 a month. They'll be between those two numbers. At $300 a month, you will have built equity by paying down the loan $3,600. At $350 a month, $4,200. Let's call it $4,000. Okay, so appreciation aside, you're picking up $4,000 right there. Second, interest rates are so low that many of our buyers are buying at or below what they're renting at. Okay, so like we have a couple right now that's going to purchase a property. They're actually renting a home at $1,800 a month. Their home purchase all in is going to be around $1,580, right? So a lot of people that we're working with, they're saving about $100 a month between rent and purchase. So that's another $1,200. Great. Let's call it $5,000. Okay. But here's the kicker. You're also getting back what's called the mortgage interest deduction, right? So currently, when you pay interest on a mortgage, you can write that off against your taxes, right? So you're getting back yet another, and again, just went back to the IRS, went back to the website, went back to the National Accountants Association, because I wanted a real number. And the average American is getting back $3,200. I was shocked it was that high. I thought it was more like $2,000, but the average American's getting back $3,200. They're able to write against their taxes and get that check back from the IRS every year, which is pretty cool. If you're 1099, sorry, you don't get it back. It just means you don't have to pay it, right? Like me. So what does that look like? So now we're north of $8,000. $8,000 in year one. That's over $600 a month, $650 a month in year one difference between renting something and purchasing something. Those are some big numbers. $600 a month, really. Now, here in Michigan, and again, our property values are going to go up 10% this year. They just will. They already are. They're on the way, which means that, again, our average homeowner is going to gain another $26,000 worth of equity, wealth, whatever you want to say it. So, year one, between your mortgage interest deduction, between paying down a mortgage, right? Between property values going up, between all of these wonderful things, you're looking at a gain for your family of $34,000. I'm going to let that sit right there. Huge. So if you're financially driven, if you're looking at the economics of a home purchase, there it is right there, right? Second, I've had a couple of people say, well, I don't want to overpay for a home. A couple of people have now approached our team and said, you know what, we were working with another agent. We were outbid a couple of times. We want you to work with us. And we're giving them the right advice to get into the property. And then they're pushing back and saying, well, we don't want to overpay. Fair. At the end of the day, the value of anything is simply what a buyer and a seller, a buyer is willing to pay for it and a seller is willing to sell it for. That's it. That's all it is. So overpaying is completely subjective. Are appraisals coming out low? Absolutely. We are seeing that happen at an extremely high level, 100%. And there's no way around that. And here's the reason. Right now, appraisals, well, and always, appraisals are generally a snapshot of 90 to 150 days backwards in the market. Right? Now I'm going to say that again. Appraisals are generally a snapshot of what happened 90 to 150 days backward on the market. Right? So the desired homes in the desired areas that are going multiple offer and they're getting bid up are not, by and large, are not appraising. Are they appraising sometimes? Sure. Are they appraising a third to half of the time? Sure. But look at it from a different point of view. Right? If it's a desired home in a desired area and the prices are being pushed up and it's not appraising, then you're probably picking the right home and you're probably picking it in the right area, because in the future when you go and sell it, it's still going to be a desired home in a desired area. Does that make sense? I mean, let's look at the logic on this thing, right? If you're looking, like here's a good example. You know, we've got a buyer right now that an appraisal came in, 20,000 light in Rochester. We've got a buyer right now where an appraisal came in, 35,000 light in Novi. You know, these are homes that people want and will want into the future. And I don't mean to go positive or negative on any area, because there are some fantastic areas out there. We have one in Royal Oak right now, similar situation. But look at it from that point of view, right? If appraisals are a snapshot 90 to 150 days old, and here's what I know, real estate values have gone up 3 to 5% in that time, it's extremely hard for an appraisal to come out. So are you really overpaying for the home? Or are you paying today's value, but then have to bridge the gap with a few bucks on an appraisal? Right? Further, and again, I'm going to use that $300,000 house as the example. Let's say it's a 5%. Let's say it's 5% off on the appraisal, or 5% difference between appraised value and selling value. I'm having a hard time with my little holder here this morning. It is loose. So that's $15,000. So let's say that, I'm going to pull this off here. There we go. Ooh. So let's say that you did overpay, let's just say by $15,000, right? Over the course of the first year, you're going to get $8,000 of it back, right? Just on the taxes not paid because of the mortgage interest deduction, because of how much that you paid down on the loan, and then you're going to get the other $26,000 back on the equity. I mean, that's it. So by the end of the year, that you're actually up $19,000, even if you quote unquote overpaid by 15. The important thing, guys, is get into a home, right? I've got a ton of people a year ago that are coming back and saying, shoot, look at home values today. I wish I had gotten into a home a year ago. Don't be that person a year from today saying, shoot, I wish I got into a home, because both home values and interest rates were lower in early 2021 versus early 2022, because that's going to affect your home payment pretty heavily, which is going to also affect affordability, right? You'll be able to afford less home. It just is what it is. Simple math. Second, I've had a couple of people reach out to us and ask us about getting into real estate, which is really cool. Two questions. One, is now a good time? And then second, what are the basic steps to get in? First, I don't know that it's ever a bad time to get into real estate. I think it's just depending on the market, you have to take different activities, right? And here's what I mean by that. I was having a great conversation with an agent, a gentleman out in Jackson who's been doing this 22 years. I've been doing this 20 years. It was a multiple offer situation, and I was just calling to backbone one of my agents there on it. And we got into a great discussion about how we've seen 5 different markets over the course of 20 years, right? And how each market just simply required a different skill. So even in the down market of 2008 and 9, and really, it was pretty much 2007 and a half, 8 and 9. And that was really our down market before we started the recovery in 2009, late 2009. Like, get this. At the worst, there were 18% less home sales. which means 18% less people buying and selling, 18% less opportunities to work with great families. That's all there was. 72% of the homes that were selling in 2006, which is the hottest market on record until last year, they were still buying and selling. What made it feel like nobody was buying and selling homes was how many homes were on the market, right? And that made it the tough time in real estate. From a buyer's perspective, you had a lot to choose from. You had some great prices. All of those things true. From a seller's perspective, it was a little tough because the competition was extremely high. All that meant was we had to change our skill, do it differently, right? And then skill changed again between 2009 and 2015. And then skill changed again as the market continued to heat up. Even then, before then, 2006 to 2002, going backwards in time, that was a different market and skill was different back then. That's all that really means. So is now a good time to get into real estate? I think anytime's a great time to get into real estate. The market is the market. We just need to know what we need to know to do well in that market. That's it. Second, how much does it cost to get into real estate? There's some great online courses that run about $100. In Michigan, it is a 40-hour class. That's it. The test is, I believe, $75. On the state level, you still have to go in and take a real estate test, right? It's with a company called SPI that Michigan outsources to. So all in all, under $200, you can have a real estate license, which again is so good. It's an easy field to get into, but also it's part of the reason why there is a higher failure rate in real estate than anywhere else. Look at it from a different perspective. It takes 1,080 training hours to become a barber. Right? It takes a 40-hour class and a test to become a real estate agent. And this is where it starts to get hard. The class and the test are not the barrier to entry into real estate. The barrier to entry into real estate is where are you going to go to make sure you learn the most, you get the most support, right? Most people do not have 50 people that are looking to buy or sell real estate in their first year of real estate, just in their friends and family. So where are you going to get the leads from? And I hate calling them leads. I like calling them families. But there are families that reach out to some of these bigger companies or bigger teams and say, hey, because of your reputation, because of the marketing you do, I want to use you to sell my home. I want to use you to buy my home. So you've got to identify those people, right? Identify that track record of success. But most importantly is that education and training. The number one reason why I see real estate agents fall out of real estate is either they're receiving no education and training, right? Or they're receiving the wrong education and training. Now, what I mean by that is some of these brokerages have amassed large databases of training. Like, I'll use Keller Williams as an example. And I'm with Keller Williams, so I can point out his faults, and I'm okay with that. Keller Williams, over the last 4 years, has added over 200,000 hours of video training into its content library. That is so good. It is so good. Literally, anything you would want to know about real estate, you can find. But here's the problem. What do I want to know about real estate? What is going to cause me to get into a relationship where I can actually close a home and feed my family in the next 90 days? Can't ask it that question. And that's the problem. And one thing I was looking at KW Connect, and none of the brokerages are any different. I don't need to look at their stats. But a lot of those shiny objects, right, and high cost marketing tactics, especially when you're new in real estate, generally speaking, like me, you had no money. You had time, but no money. Those are statistically the most clicked on and most watched videos out there. So the stuff that will actually cause you to go broke and the wrong stuff to know in the beginning is the stuff that's out at the forefront. And I'm not trying to be offensive to any of the brokerages out there. And this is part of the reason why the teams are doing so well, taking territory and training new agents and getting them into production 3 times as fast as real estate brokerages. But there it is. You got to know the right stuff, and you got to know the right stuff fast, or you're not going to make it. I personally almost fell out of the business 3 times before I made it. But anyway, so that's what it takes to get into real estate. A 40-hour class. Test you got to get a D- on to pass, right? $200. But that's, again, just the beginning. You got to find that great brokerage that's going to give you the right training and hopefully have some buyers and sellers and some great families for you to work with, because friends and family, I'm just going to tell you, it'll carry you, but it won't carry you as far as you think. When you put it out there, you'd be surprised how many people are not looking to buy and sell real estate this year. It just is what it is. I mean, people move once every 11 years. So think about all of your local people that you know personally that you've talked to, you've talked to in the last 6 months. You actually had a voice-to-voice conversation or text conversation, not just a Facebook friend that liked a post, but a real person. Think about that. 1 out of 11 of those will actually move. That's not a big number, guys. That is honestly not a big number. Now, I'm just pulling into the church parking lot, so I'm going to put a pin in it there. So if you're considering buying a home, buy a home. Keep the faith. Keep making those offers. You will get one. You will get one. And if you don't, that's okay. Just pay $34,000 more for the same home next year and a higher interest rate. And yes, that was crass, but I want to be sure that you guys understand if you're considering buying and you're considering waiting, that's the cost of waiting, right? Will there be less multiple offer situations in a year? Probably. Will that home still cost you $34,000 more than being in multiple offer situations today? Absolutely. Get out there, guys. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the sun. I'm going to go do my thing in church. Have fun. Bye.